Good morning and welcome to another episode of Erasmus TV. It's 75 years after the Second World War ended in the Netherlands. Traditionally, the 4th of May is our remembrance of the dead, but because of the coronavirus, things will be a little different. So today my guest is Endowed Professor of Popular Historical Culture and War, Kees Ribbens. Very welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. As I said, tonight we can't commemorate the Second World War the way we all used to, together on big squares or at monuments all over the country. Will this change in commemoration influence the way we commemorate this?
It's hard to tell. It might very well be possible. But first of all, we don't know what the ceremony will look like next year. Will we go back to what we are used to, or will it be more similar to what we will experience today? Things in commemorating do develop over time, but it's quite difficult to predict how exactly these developments will take place.
How big is our urge to go back to what it was normal, what we think is normal?
Well, I think at this point in time, the urge is quite big. A lot of people would like to go on with their lives as they used to know them, as they used to live them. I think more or less the same goes for commemorations. We would like to return to the forms, to the shapes, to the traditions and the rituals that we developed over the years. At the same time, we also should remember that these commemoration ceremonies were not exactly ready once the country was liberated in May 1945. They developed over time. So after a number of years, after a number of decades, they took the shape that they currently have. But they are still open for changes. I mean, the way that we commemorate right now does not necessarily have to be the same way in which we will commemorate 10 years from now or even next year. So they are open to change.
Yes, and not everybody may know this, but we have a monument here in Teelhal for students who lost their lives during the Second World War. And this morning, Hans Smits from the Executive Board placed a wreath on the monument. Kees, how do you commemorate this day? Do you keep a moment of silence?
Yes, I will keep a moment of silence at 8 o'clock this evening, like many other people here in the Netherlands. But I will be at home. I mean, normally I go to a local commemoration ceremony here in Leiden, where I currently live. That's not possible, but there are always all kind of different ways available now to follow that by using the internet or TV. So I'm not sure yet which channel or which website I'll be visiting. But yes, definitely we'll be silent for 2 minutes at 8 o'clock this evening.
How special is it that we now live in a time where we all know that history, well, is being written?
Yeah, well, I think the majority of people currently do have the feeling that they are experiencing history, they're living through history, much more than in ordinary times. At the same time, it also makes clear to people that history is not finished yet. I mean, we do not know where this ends. We do not know how long this will take. So it's very indeterminate. And that's something that you might compare with a situation such as in the Second World War, where people were confronted with a lot of uncertainties and they don't know how it would end, where it would end, at what cost, which doesn't mean, of course, that World War II is definitely the same as the current coronavirus. But I think it's a very natural urge in people trying to make comparisons with these two very outspoken situations, historical situations.
And we just saw with the flowers a really traditional way of commemoration. Is this also how we will commemorate the coronavirus one day?
My bet would be yes. I mean, it's probably part of a wider panorama of ways in which we commemorate. I mean, laying wreaths or putting flowers near a local or perhaps even a national monument is an option. Keeping silent for 1 minute or 2 minutes or even longer is another option. Erecting monuments itself is something that's quite likely. But apart from that, I mean, there's also a whole kind of online commemoration culture that has developed over the years. So people built their own websites. There are digital ways of putting flowers to certain names that are mentioned on these memorials. And apart from that, I mean, commemorating is not always so institutionalized. So you can also use popular media, such as films or documentaries or games that also can help to pay attention to what happened in the past.
Yeah, and you mentioned games, because games, of course, have a completely different, well, vibe than putting flowers at a monument. I brought a little, well, example of this. And all gamers will probably recognize this. This is the game Battlefield 5, which, as you can see, if you live in Rotterdam or know the place, this takes place in Rotterdam. Is it likely that we perhaps will have a Corona game, just like this one is from Second World War?
I wouldn't be surprised that one or even more Corona games will pop up. I mean, given the fact that it has such a big impact on a lot of different societies across the world, I think it's no surprise that it will find its shape in popular culture, maybe not in games, or at least not only in games, but also in all kind of other ways. I mean, in novels, in comic books, in films. And I do think they can help, they can add up, they can contribute to keeping the memory of this coronavirus alive. The question is, of course, whether you can label that as being a commemoration. I think it's part of historical culture, it's part of the way that we deal with recent events in our history. But of course, it's not as solemn as a commemoration where we all gather physically in one place. But one thing can add to the other. And together they might help in keeping the memory of this experience alive.
Thank you so much for your time, Kees Ribbens. Before we end, I want to remind everybody that on Thursday, so this coming up Thursday, we will have the Minister of Education here in our studio. If you have questions for her, we will, well, put them to her. If you have any, you can put it in text or in video. Send it to us by mail to erasmusmagazine@em.ur.nl, and, well, we will ask them. So I will see you back here on Thursday with the Minister.